Shit, they done let me in the door. They done gave your boy a chance, now the youngin' finna blow. It's a shame finna put the game in the figure four. Youngin' fresh from out that dollar.
So I just got finished reading the latest chapter for Attack on Titan no Requiem. And I would just say that this chapter was fire, all the way from the way that it was drawn to the music and everything that transpired in this one chapter. But the last chapter is still my favorite. I think something crazy has to happen in order to eclipse that chapter for me. The conversation between Eren and Armin was just too good. A conversation that I truly believe that we was robbed of when it comes to the original. I just love the whole idea of two brothers who once stood side by side, who once viewed the world in the same light to a certain extent. But then all of that changed. One remained optimistic about the world, even if it made him look like a fool. The other wanted to be optimistic about the world, but the world just would not let him. So he had no choice but to accept what the world was, which obviously put them on a different path that led them to be on opposite sides of the table. And now they're trying to convince not only each other, but also the reader that what they're doing is the right thing to do. And as the reader, you're pushed into this. You're hearing the pros and cons on both sides, and you don't really know who is right and who is wrong. But the more and more you listen, you start to realize that there is no such thing as right or wrong in this situation. There's no such thing as right or wrong in the world of Attack on Titan. Things are not always black and white. Sometimes it's morally gray. And I truly believe that Isayama lost sight of that when it comes to the ending of Attack on Titan. It stopped being that, and it ended up changing it to something else. Something like only Eren being the one that's wrong. Eren being the only one that has to die. Look at him, he's pathetic, he's a simp. He's a dumbass. He doesn't know what he's saying. He doesn't even know what the fuck he's doing. Look, he lied to he lied to everybody, even his damn self. Look, he was a slave this entire time. Look, he gave up. He knew that everything was going to end up being for nothing, and he still did it. That just shows you what type of person he is, right? You still like him? Yeah, we do. You still think he's right? Yeah, we do. You think he shouldn't have died? No, he shouldn't have. Like, this is a fucking joke. This is a fucking joke. All of those things implanted in the character of Eren at the very end is a desperate attempt as an author to convince or persuade his audience that Eren is completely wrong and he deserves to fucking die. He does not deserve to be able to achieve freedom for himself and his people. At least in this way. Well, Isayama, there was no other way presented to him. Oh yeah. Well, I think I stuck the landing. No, you didn't at all. You fell right on your fucking head. You cannot help but question how did things end so badly. And here's the thing, I've been watching a lot of Brown's Magic's Attack on Titan videos, and she is completely right when it comes to her new perspective regarding Attack on Titan's ending. Isayama is a coward. He cares way too much about what people think of him. He didn't want to be a writer who is supposedly preaching genocide. And I truly believe that he hated the fact that Eren's character truly took off after the 3-year time skip. He hated the fact that we still loved Eren and never looked at him as the bad guy even after the horrific things that he had did. So he destroyed Eren's character. But this is what Isayama failed to realize. We didn't love him because of what he did. We loved him because of the writing that you put towards his character development. We supported Eren because we understood that he's just a good guy who is forced to play the bad guy. We understood that he's in a kill or be killed situation. You can truly see that Isayama did not know what the fuck he was writing about. At all. And that's why I'm glad that we have something like Attack on Titan no Requiem. Because they get it. They understand what the fuck they're writing about. And they have the balls to write what originally was supposed to happen. They're not like Isayama at all. Now in this chapter, we end up being able to see all of the events that leads up to Jon falling from Eren's Founding Titan body. And one of the many things that I love about this chapter is that we finally get to see all of the consequences that Armin and the rest of the Alliance have to face when it comes to opposing Eren. Armin will finally be put into the shoes of Commander Erwin and truly understands what it means to be the commander. Because now the choices that you make could be sending your own people that you care about to their death without achieving a single thing. And I just really think that it's something that should have happened in the original ending for Attack on Titan, but because of the fact that Isayama is too much of a coward to kill off its own characters, we was robbed of that. So the chapter starts off with us seeing the Eldian people and also the Malayan soldiers try to come together and set aside their differences. Some, not all, pretty much come to the conclusion that fighting is really pointless. It doesn't matter if I'm Marleyan and you're Eldian. Right now we share the same fate. Right now, at this moment, we're just people that's trying to survive. Now, when I first read this, I kind of felt like this was happening a little too easy. But as I continued to read, I had seen the expressions that was on the Malayan soldiers' faces, and the fact that they were giving smart remarks toward the elderly people, and the fact that they would not take their advice even though they were right. And this is so important to show because this is what the problem is. Ever since the scouts went beyond the wall, they've seen that some people are willing to negotiate peace with them, but the rest of the world wants them dead. And what makes it even worse now is that they're on their deathbed and they still cannot break free from the cycle of hatred. Now, I will say that this is a perfect representation of what Eren and Armin is fighting for. Armin is fighting for that glimmer of hope, the fact that it is possible to be able to set aside your differences and understand one another. But on the other hand, that's just a gamble that Eren cannot take, not when he has the power to make sure that the freedom of his people is certain. This is about stopping a generational cycle of hatred, not creating a new one. This is about making sure that no one has to ever go through this ever again, not making it to where someone gets born into the world in the future just to become the same devil that Eren was and do the exact same shit. This is not about the characters that we grew to love. This is about the future now when it comes to both sides. So therefore, it makes sense for sacrifices to be made on both sides. Now we get to see a ton of action that truly had me at the edge of my seat. I truly felt scared for the characters of Reiner, Peck, and John. This is the feeling that the ending of Attack on Titan is supposed to have. That feeling that not one single character is safe. Especially at times like this where the story is no longer about them, it's about the lives of all these people, the lives that they're risking their life for. And I just hate the fact that Isayama changed that. It went from that to now strictly being about Eren's friends. Now, one of the many things that I liked about this fight is that John compared this fight to being a wall. That is perfect fucking writing. Eren created this wall to protect his and his people's freedom. But this is also a way to show us that Eren's friends is no longer a part of the freedom that he's protecting. They made their choice to be on the other side of that wall. They made the choice to be the ones to want to knock down that wall, so they should face the consequences. This is perfect writing. To be honest, this sounds like something that Isayama originally wanted to do if he had the balls to do so. Now, as we all know, John is trying to make his way to the detonator, but he fails, and he falls from Eren's Founding Titan body. But that's not the only thing that falls. The detonator falls as well. And now that puts all of the responsibility on Armin. He has to become the new detonator. This makes his transformation that more impactful than what it was in the manga and the anime. So I'm guessing they're not going the whole Parasite route because, to be honest, the Parasite didn't really need to show back up. And to be honest, the Parasite created a lot of problems because Eren's connection to the power of the Founder is completely all over the place. At first, it was Zeke because he wanted Zeke's death to be impactful. Then it was the Parasite because he wanted the Parasite to be important. But he didn't realize that he already had Eren transform into a founding Colossal Titan form because of the fact that he wanted him to have a Colossal Titan fight with Armin, showing us that Eren's connection to the power of the Founder has always been Ymir, which is what it should have been from the very beginning. But if that's the case, which it is, then that means that the rumbling stopping in the first place is a retcon, and that Zeke dying should have led to nothing, and the Parasite is not supposed to be there. Is that not proof in itself that this motherfucker changed the ending? Wow. Just wow. Isayama, can you just one day tell the truth and just come out and say that the ending was not supposed to happen that way? Please, just do that for us, for your fans that actually cared about your story. Just admit that you were too much of a coward to go through with your original ending and you chose the easy way out. It's just that simple. Like, you retconned a lot of things. Timelines, reincarnation, the multiverse, the anime being a different thing. Like, you retconned a lot of things just to try to save your own ass. And I know a lot now because on this little break that I've had, I've been doing a lot of research. And let me just tell you that Isayama is a fucking fraud. He copied, oh my gosh, we say love. This motherfucker copied off of a whole entire story, my guy, and then retconned it because he was just too scared. They lied about A&R, not knowing what the ending was. Trust me, like, I know so much now, and I'm going to explain all that shit in future videos. But for this chapter was really good. This was a 10 out of 10. I cannot wait for the next chapter. I'm really interested in seeing what they do with Zeke because he's like in like this weird situation where his fucking hand is turning into sand. I don't know what's going on with that. But I do think they're going to go in the route where they pretty much have to kill Zeke. But they really have a choice to make because they have to figure out what is Eren's connection to the power of the Founder. Is it Ymir or is it Zeke? To be honest, both answers kind of make a lot of sense, but I'm pretty sure they're going to go into the whole Zeke route because they want to do the whole baby thing and the whole Warhammer Titan theory where he's basically controlling his founding Titan form from underground. But to be honest, I can truly see them doing a part of Isayama's ending where they think that they beat Eren and they reunite with their families, but then it turns out that Eren didn't die and he reactivates the rumbling and Falco tries to save as many people as he can. That would be fucking sad, and I truly see them doing something like that. But this is the end of the video. You ain't got like, you got to comment, but I do appreciate it if you did sub button if you're new, and I'm out, bro.
Hey, so what if the niggas make more? I knew my time would come and had to wait for it. So every night a nigga pray for it. Ain't no going back, the only way is for it. See, some people they weren't made for it. They roll it, fit my real like it was made.